go on with the Sheriff Candidate Forum. Are y'all all friendly up there? The candidates have drawn by number for their opening statements and their closing statements. So we will start with Mike Lenoi, and you each have 2 minutes for your opening statements before we get into statements from the audience. And if I forget again, help me remember that you get to ask one person a question before your closing statement. Would you do that for me, Damon? Can you remember to remind me of that? You write that down, okay? Thank you. You go. Just say that. You can.
Do I need to come in front?
Yeah, come in front.
That's like 25 foot cord, so okay.
But standing up for your opening would be great.
My name's Michael Lenoi. I'm a longtime citizen of Logan County. I moved here in 1971 with my parents. Lived in South County my whole life. My parents, Wayne and Mary, were founding members of the Woodcrest Volunteer Fire Department. They were also founding members of the Woodcrest Baptist Church that is out there to this day. I graduated from Guthrie High School, went to school here all my life in Guthrie. Graduated in '89, joined the military in the National Guard. From there I went active duty in '93. I was a military police officer while in the Guard and also while active duty. In 1999, I got out of the military. While I was in the military, I had 3 beautiful children. I've got a 21-year-old daughter, a 20-year-old daughter, and a 16-year-old son. So they've all graduated from Guthrie High School. I'm hoping to get the 16-year-old to graduate too. Bear with me. I've been in this community since 2001. I was a reserve officer for the Guthrie Police Department. A good friend of mine became the chief of police, Damon Deo. I applied, got on in 2005, and been there ever since. I was promoted to sergeant in 2010, and have been with the department since then. I love the community. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm out, I'm about. I shop in this community. I go to church in this community. I'm a member of Bible Baptist Church in this community. I'm all about the community, and I'm all about the people of the community. This is not a personal attack against Mr. Balman. I think he's done a good job as the sheriff. Okay, I've prayed about it. God has told me this is what he wants me to do. That's why I'm here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike.
My name is John W. Marshall. People who know me pretty well call me JW. I've been married for 27 years to the same woman. I have 2 children, 3 stepchildren, 6 grandchildren. I graduated from Oklahoma State University with an associate's degree, University of Central Oklahoma with a bachelor's degree. I've been a member of the American Legion here in Guthrie for 16 years. I've been a resident here for 16 years, minus 2 years while I was deployed. Retired military police, retired state police. I worked in every facet of police law enforcement. I was in the Coast Guard, federal law enforcement, Army MP, military law enforcement, Oklahoma County, Cleveland County, county law enforcement, and Stillwater Police Department. I've been a SWAT team member, a SWAT team commander. I was in Baghdad in 2003. My leadership was proved in combat and under fire. We brought everybody back. None of the other MP companies in Baghdad in 2003 brought everybody back. We did. In 1984, I bought my first brand new truck from John Vance Motors. I decided at that time I was working for Oklahoma County and finishing my associate's degree. Believe it or not, I told myself back then and a friend of mine that I was going to be the Logan County Sheriff someday. Since then, I've bought about 7 new trucks from John Vance. I hope he appreciates the business. He's got a good service out there. I enjoyed being in Guthrie. I moved here on purpose. This is where I wanted to be when I retired. And Logan County Sheriff has been my goal for a really long time. So I appreciate you if you consider me when you vote for Sheriff of Logan County. Thank you.
Thank you, JW. Damon?
Do you mind if I just stand here? Good evening. Well, the first thing I want to do, I know I got 2 minutes and I'm not a big talker, so there's one thing I want to do. I want to introduce my wife, April, and my daughter, Michaela, are here in the audience. Thank you guys for being here. And I'm glad there's only amount of so much blue shirts here tonight. That's awesome. It's not all blue, so there's some hope. I've been a Logan County resident my entire life. Graduated high school here in 1988. Had some odd jobs, got into law enforcement in 1991. Served the Guthrie Police Department for 23 years. The last 10 years I was the chief of police. 2014, made the decision to retire. My wife graduated nursing school, so she got a nursing job, and I was able to get out of law enforcement into a less stressful job. After about a year of that, I realized that that's not what I meant to do. I feel I've been led to apply for the sheriff's position, to run for election. This community is my home. You people are my people. You know, I too, like Mike and a lot of these guys up here, you know, another thing is a lot of these guys up here I worked with, known a long time. I have respect for these guys. This is probably one of the hardest things that I've had to do is get up here and battle with my friends. And I hope regardless of what happens here tonight or at the election, I hope that we're all still friends after this because it's important to me. I think that it's time that we focus on the citizens again. I think the citizens are our priority. Our service to them is priority. I think that, you know, as the Guthrie chief, I was involved with everything I could be from dunk tanks to cooking hamburgers for Relay for Life or things like that. And I think that's a lot of places that the sheriff's lacking in. So it's my goal to be out with my people and being a part of their community.
I feel like Daniel in the lion's den up here. I kind of wrote mine out, and I too have been in this county here for a long time. My wife of 32 years. I have a son and daughter here that both graduated from Guthrie High School with honors. My daughter went on to nursing school, graduated that. She's a registered nurse. My son has his own business as a journeyman electrician. Also a former Marine, spent his time in Afghanistan. I want to start this saying good evening. I am the Sheriff Jim Balman. I am committed to serving the citizens of Logan County. I have 36 years of law enforcement experience. I'm a constitutional conservative. In 2 terms, I have doubled the number of patrol deputies and their vehicles. I've opened 3 substations. We've maintained and started a neighborhood patrol, an aggressive neighborhood patrol. This year alone, in 2015, they completed over 10,000 neighborhood patrols. We have expanded services while saving the taxpayers' money. I was able to pay the jail off a year early. I've also increased officers' accountability and officer safety by outfitting each deputy with a body camera. Each car has a camera system in it, and every car we own, including the transport car, has a GPS in it so that we know where they're at all the time. I've added an investigations division. We have 5 investigators that investigate crimes from the smallest to the largest. We have a 4-person K-9 unit, a crisis and intervention team consisting of 6 deputies that are trained to handle calls concerning the mentally ill issues. We have a deputy trained in forensic interviewing of children, which is a very special thing. We have to have a room set up for them, and I think they're calling my whistle over here. Just one more thing. We have modernized our command post center for tornadoes and anything that we can utilize in the county to help any other agency or anything else. I thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ben McCand. I've been in Logan County since December the 1st of '96. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol said, I need you in Logan County, and I said, well, send me. I've always liked this county. I filled in here before. This is like being at home for me without all the family. For me, that's a big plus. I've worked with these guys up here. I've worked, except for a couple of them. I've been asked to run for sheriff. I thought, you know what? I want to run this. I want to do this. I want to bring another level to this county. I want to bring another level of professionalism. Sheriff Balman has done his job, and I cannot tell you that he's done a bad job. I can tell you that he's done his job. That's what he's here to do. But what I'm asking you to do is let's take this to another level. On June 28th, I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Do I get his extra time? My name is Robert Hardy. I'm running for sheriff for many reasons. One is I think it's time for a change. I want to bring to Logan County a different kind of law enforcement, one you can count on. I'm bringing to you one of the greatest decorated law enforcement officers in the state is here with us tonight. It's not myself, but he's here with us tonight. You raise your card for celebrities. Mr. Mark Sterling is here tonight. He is one of the best decorated law enforcement officers in the state. He'll be coming to work with us should you elect me. Mine is military. I served in the military 43 years ago. My daughter's 42, so I was lucky on that, and she was as well. My ex-wife was. So I have a 42-year-old daughter that constantly tells me what I should do. She said, run for sheriff, so I did. She's currently living in California. I moved here from California 21 years ago. I live here in Logan County for the last 21 years. I'll bring to the county several things. One will be a military attitude, because I trust the military. I believe in it. It supported me 43 years ago, and it will support, and that attitude will support me today. I'm going to bring to the sheriff's office one thing. It's going to be a healthy, fit sheriff's office. So that tells everybody one thing about me. You're going to get in shape. That's the way I feel about it. I'm going to get some calls answered that are not answered. There's been many calls that I've spoke with over 50 people already that have not had an answered call. I want to get calls answered. I want to get some type of law enforcement to these people. It hasn't been done. Has Jim Balman done a good job? Not from my perspective. I believe it's a little different perspective when you start talking to the crowds out there, which I have done. Some of you may hate me for what I've said. I don't hate Jim Balman. Folks, I don't dislike Jim Balman. I just feel it's time for a change, and I want to give us that. Thank you for your time.
Well, like all the other men said before, we've all worked together and we all respect each other. And so that's one of the things that I really like about this group that's up here right now. I'd just like to say that I'm currently the police chief in Cashin, Oklahoma. I've been out there for about 5 years. I used to work for the Logan County Sheriff's Office, loved my job there, was passionate about my job, but felt it was time for me to go off and get my degree, which is what I did. I went back to OSU and got my degree in police science. I spent 18 years in the military off and on from 1980 on to 2001. And raised 6 children. My husband's here tonight, and we're just very blessed that we've been able to come to this community in 2001, and we've raised our children here. Our children have graduated from the schools here, and we've been a part of the community. And we love each and every person in this community. But what I want to see happen is I really want to see more prevention programs. We don't have prevention programs in our schools that I feel are doing an adequate job. We need to start getting more patrols out. I know there's patrolling going on, but we need to do more. We need to do more prevention. We need to reach these families that need to be touched. But on the other hand, we need to stay out of other people's business that don't want to be bothered. We need to make sure that when we do things, that we don't do it because it's just a law. or it's just the way we've always done things. I want to do things constitutionally. I am passionate about our Constitution. I love our country. I still, to this day, when I hear the national anthem, it brings me to tears. So I want to bring a new level to Logan County of passionate, caring, and understanding law enforcement that takes it to the next level.
Thank you. Thank you all. We're going to move into the segment of asking the questions that have been given to us here from the audience. And I'm going to I'll just start with you, Mike, and then the next question I'll start with the next person, and so on. That's as fair as I think we can do. Oh, and yes, you do have up to 60 seconds to respond to the question if you need it, instead of 30, as we discussed earlier. Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, let's just start off with the bang here. Do you believe men make better sheriffs than women, and why?
No, I don't believe that. I've worked with Ronnie, 10 years? Long time. I've worked with some of the female deputies here in the county. Any of them can be the sheriff. Any of them do a great job. Ronnie does a great job at what she does at Cashin. I've talked to several people that love her over there. They believe she does a great job. So as far as male or female, it doesn't matter. As long as you have the passion and the care for the community, and you want to do this because it's what you feel you're led to do, doesn't matter race, creed, gender, anything.
Thank you. This might be the type of question that we can make some time up on if you don't need the full 60 seconds.
I probably have a unique perspective on this. I've served in the Army Military Police Corps, and women have been in combat with the MPs since, a long time ago, Nicaragua. The women that I've worked with sometimes carry better weight than the men. I've had senior non-commissioned officers that their leadership skills were unquestionably as good as anybody else's. Women have been in combat and served in combat roles in leadership positions as long as I've been in the military, and specifically in the military police. So there's no way that I could stand here and tell you anything that men or women are better. It depends on the individual, and it depends on their heart.
The sheriff's position is not a gender-based position. It's who's best qualified and who's elected.
This is real simple. We have female sheriffs today in a couple of our counties, and they do a fantastic job. And I take orders from a woman every day.
I want to echo what these guys have said. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. If you're the one that is elected for that position, as long as you got the qualifications for it, as long as you got the desire to do it, you do it for the right reason, I have no problem with that.
Look, folks, in a lot of ways, women are actually more capable, and I say that in psychological situations where you have mental patients. She can typically calm down a patient more than a male can because we're a little more aggressive. So in a lot of ways, a woman would be actually a better sheriff than a man, but there should be no difference in either way, whether a woman is sheriff or a man is sheriff. Makes no difference to me. I feel that if a woman's qualified, she should do the job.
Well, I would agree that it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. It's whether you're qualified to do the job. A leader can be either way. It's how you lead your people, how you inspire them to do greater things, and how you get them motivated to do the job that needs to be done, which in law enforcement sometimes is a very unpleasant job. So no, I don't think that there has to be any, gender requirements at all.
Thank you. Judge Evia, you'll be the next one to, this was the problem with just having one mic, but it's okay.
Lay it on me.
Okay. Living in rural Logan County, your officers, or your future officers, if you're elected, are not seen on patrol or in the area unless there is an emergency. What is your plan to improve their response time and their presence and involvement in that area?
In the military, they have what they call traffic control plans. It's basically an operation where you decide where the largest traffic is at, and then you cover that specific area, depending on the crime levels in that area. Something that was unique to me is I noticed that an ambulance has been to my house 5 times for my wife. Not one time did a sheriff's deputy show up. My house burned, and a trooper showed up, but not a sheriff's deputy. With the training that they need, they will be first responders. A sheriff's deputy has more opportunity to save a life than take a life. They need to be trained on how to do that. I want them to be there. If they can get there first, they should be able to perform life-saving measures. They will be patrolling in the county, and they will be responding to calls, and they will be proactive, and you'll see not only them but me.
Well, I think the main thing is giving the deputies direction and establishing expectations and allowing those deputies to go out and do the job that's been set before them. If we begin to receive calls that deputies aren't patrolling or aren't responding to calls, then that will be addressed. I believe in a progressive discipline type manner. I think that it is their job to be out in the neighborhoods, meeting people, not always a criminal matter, but it's important that they are responding and are being visible in these neighborhoods, regardless of the wealth of the neighborhood or that neighborhood's off the beaten path, so we don't need to go over there. I think every neighborhood deserves the patrol that every other neighborhood deserves. And I think with the GPS systems and stuff like that, it's easy to determine who's doing what. And also, I intend on being out there with those guys and doing it with them at every opportunity I get.
Yes. Could you please repeat that question?
Living in very rural Logan County, your officers are not seen on patrol or in the area unless there is an emergency. How can you improve the response time and their presence and involvement in the area?
Okay. We do all that today. I have a radio in my car, a scanner in my house, and I listen to the radio quite a bit. And if I don't hear people in the neighborhood, I'm calling the supervisor for that shift and asking why I'm not hearing people in the neighborhoods. And they're either on the calls, and then when they get through with the calls, they go and take care of that. We have guys that are on their own training to be first responders that have gone to medic school. We have AEDs coming that my whole department will be trained on AEDs. There'll be an AED in a car, so that if they are the first one on scene somewhere and they can save a life, they'll have the equipment and stuff to do it, and along with they'll have the training also. Thank you.
With the amount of deputies that are on the road today, why not just break the county up into districts? Why not assign a deputy to that area? I don't know if it's currently done that way right now. I haven't asked the current sheriff, I don't know. But that's one way to solve that. Another way to solve that is to make these guys more accountable. What are you doing out there besides just riding around? Answer these calls. If you got 5 guys, you got divided into 4 districts. You got one supervisor, supervise them all. If one guy has to leave his district, put the supervisor out there. To me, that's about the easiest way I can answer that question for you.
Most of all, we want to utilize the reserve divisions. The reserve division that I'll bring in will be second to none. They'll be well trained. We'll put forth an FTO training that was designed by Mark Sterling. They'll come out, they'll do the job, the guys that we're bringing in, and it's not going to cost the county a dime. So we'll increase probably at least 3-fold the coverage we're going to get just utilizing our reserves. Second of all, I will don a uniform. I'll go on patrol. My under will go on patrol. Patrol captain will go on patrol, along with 2 day patrol officers. Simple arithmetic, you have that many more on patrol. You don't have to sit in an office to be sheriff, folks. You only needed there a couple of days a month. That's all you needed. Get your butt out and get on patrol. That's the way I look at it.
Well, I agree with a lot of the good answers that we've had here, but the main thing is to motivate the deputies that you do have to get them into the neighborhoods, to give them reasons to want to go meet these people. I know in Cashin, I have a very small area to patrol, but I tell you, my officers have to go out into the neighborhoods and meet people, because that's where you get your intelligence, that's where you get your information from people, and that's where you get your trust from people. So it's imperative that you find reasons to get out there and to meet those people and gain their trust. I also am a working chief, so I go out and patrol, I write tickets, and I do all the other jobs as a patrol officer. And so I know the job that they have to do, and being familiar with that is one of the things that I think is important being a sheriff also. So, thank you.
I think you're up next.
Me?
I think it's Damon.
I haven't got the answer to that question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I gotta remember that. We're making a wrap around here. Thank you.
Okay, my answer to that question is, anybody who knows me knows I'm about community policing. Okay? I'm about getting out in the community. This is the job I want to do. I don a uniform every day, and just because I'm the sheriff doesn't mean I won't don a uniform and get out and start to talk to people. If you're an elected official in this county, people should know your face and know your name and know that you're backing them and everything they need from you. Deputies, I don't know how many you have on the street every day, but if you're not getting the coverage, you need to start looking at pulling in some reserves. You need to start looking at getting out of the office and going and doing what needs to be done to protect the community, because that's why you're here. You're voted in to protect the community. So that's all I have.
Did everybody answer that? Okay. How can the sheriff's office be independent from the federal government when so much money is taken for housing federal prisoners?
Well, I would say that we would need to look at the money that's currently taken in and is given based on the federal side of it to see if we can operate without that money. I know that's a big issue right now with the constitutional sheriff stuff, and I'm a firm supporter of the Constitution. And if I was sheriff and the government come in and said they're going to take our guns, I would ask everybody to stand with me in defense of that. But I also think that since there is federal monies being accepted from the sheriff's department, I think that that's kind of a conflict of interest in defending yourself against the federal government, but yet taking money from them as well. The thing I would do is look at every option to try to do away with the federal housing of those inmates to make us more susceptible to our own government, and not try to rely on that money specifically.
I brought in the federal inmates. The sheriff prior to me was trying to do that and didn't get it done. By bringing in the federal inmates, I was able to pay off the jail a year early and save our taxpayers money. Also, I'm a very constitutional sheriff, and I have an agreement with the marshals that I can tell them to leave anytime I need to, or they can quit anytime they want to. But we have been very benefited by the money coming in and taking care of our facility, paying off the facility, helping us buy stuff for the cars and different things. But the federal government has no hold on me. We've tried other means of coming up with money to operate the jail, and before I paid it off, there was no other means. So at this time, it's the most viable and valuable thing that I was able to use to pay the jail off and take care of our county and make it less on the taxpayers. Thank you.
as I'm sure Sheriff Balman will tell you, that the county jail is probably one of the most biggest headaches you're going to have. As far as this question, the contract would be one thing, but to have the federal government walk in and tell us that we're going to do something, absolutely not. That is not going to happen. It has, I believe, what I understand, if I'm wrong, correct me here, it has helped, but I don't think we need to rely on just the federal prisoners. Don't know how much is being brought in or how we can subsidize that money at this point.
Well, yeah, there are other ways to subsidize. Simple ways. Guys, there's real simple ways. You just raise one simple way to give you an idea. If I told you all my ideas, he'd put them into action and he'd look like a hero. One simple way, look, you've got phone calls, right? If they're $6 a minute at the sheriff's office, raise them to $7. I mean, simple little things. That's just a simple little idea to give you an idea. You know, you're going to bring the money in. It's easy to do. It's just a matter of going and getting it. So let's try the simple approach. We don't really need the feds. We truly don't. We need the beds. Does that make sense? We don't need the feds. We need the beds. So the drug task force I'm bringing in is going to keep those full. So we're going to try and actually get rid of the feds out of the jail and bring the funds in other ways. So it'll be done.
Well, I would say that having federal inmates does pose problems to a point, but as long as you have good standing agreements and memorandums of understanding with the federal government while you do house those prisoners, I could see it being somewhat of a viable option for keeping the jail paid for. So it does not put a burden on the citizens. One of the things that I don't want to subscribe to, though, is raising costs for inmates in jail, because a lot of these families are already harmed by their loved one being in jail. And when you start increasing those costs, you've got mom or grandma on the outside that's using every last penny to sit there and pay for commissary and pay for phone calls and all those things. And so we don't want to place an additional burden on those families that are helping support these prisoners in jail.
With the federal inmates, I understand the need for them. As a community, you should understand the need for the federal inmates, okay? That's money that you're not having to pay in taxes for inmates, okay? But I also know that we need to cut back on that or look at that and see and make sure that we have beds for our own warrants that are in this county, for our own criminals. I don't know what Jim has got going on. I don't know how many federal inmates he's got. That would be something that once you got into office you would look at and see if you needed to get rid of some or if you needed to leave it where it is. Again, I think Jim's done a good job. The federal inmates, I think, was a great idea so that jail could be paid off a year early. But it's just managing it is what you need to do as the sheriff. Thank you.
I say take every dime the federal government's willing to give you. If they're going to give you money, take care of the jail, take care of their prisoners, then we do that and we get that money. If I'm the sheriff, I run the county, not the federal government. I'm not worried about them. I can take care of that. Any opportunity that I get to take money from the federal government for this county, I'm going to do it.
I've already answered this question.
What do you think is the number one problem in our community?
Okay, is this my question or is it supposed to be his?
Did you say you were next?
No, I answered the last question.
You are.
Okay, so it's me? Okay, say that again, please.
Last time, now you're first.
Okay, say that again.
What do you think is the number one problem in our community?
Burglars. We have a lot of people breaking into farms and stuff like that and taking their stuff from them. And one of the other problems there is that most people don't put their serial numbers and stuff down on their equipment, their guns, their cars, or their tractors and stuff like that. We arrested one guy about 4 months ago that he would go on the internet and he would pull up Google Earth and he would look for any place that had connexes or barns, and then he would drive out to that place during the daytime, stalk it, knock on doors until he ended up finding something and burglarize it and take it away. One of my guys made a traffic stop at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. He had a stolen trailer, a stolen truck, full of stolen property. We recovered that, and we've still been recovering property for 3 months from this same guy who's in jail today. So I think that is a pretty big, there's several things but that to me is burglary, stealing stuff for hard-working people that has earned for other people to break in and take it.
I'm sorry, ma'am, would you repeat your question?
What do you think is the #1 problem in our community?
One of the biggest calls I feel right now is the response time or the lack of someone responding. You asked a question asked earlier, how would you respond to that? You set this county up and you've been in districts. Have those people available to make these calls. Don't let a radio go unanswered. These properties are very important. As a deputy, as a sheriff running this department, that deputy has to respond to these calls. No call should go unanswered.
Well, in my opinion, it's drugs. We have a terrible drug problem here. And the sooner we get rid of it, the better this young man will be. When it starts coming to the kids, and it does, then we need to get involved a little heavier. So what I'm proposing is bringing in a drug task force that's also not going to cost the county a dime. I've already negotiated it because I plan on winning the sheriff's office. When they come in, there'll be 3 people that know they're here. I'll be one of them, the undersheriff will be the other, and the captain of patrol will be the other. They'll work among you, you won't know them, but they will come in. They will make arrests, and they will help clear out the garbage, the disease that plagues Logan County. We're going to get rid of it, folks. That I promise you. That's going to be, I've worked as an investigator for the last 3 years. I've investigated a lot of drug problems. We're going to get rid of ours.
Well, I happen to think that drugs are one of our main problems. But the problem is with drugs is you have kids that go from being casual users that turn into abusers, that turn into burglaries, larcenies, whatever, to find monies, find ways to support their habits. It's a never-ending problem. And so I really believe that with those problems, we're going to have to look at prevention programs that start in the schools and start with the kids, so we can start at the basic level and work our way up, so that when these kids get older, hopefully we might save 1 or 2 and they'll decide that they'll go to school and stay in school and not use drugs, not go into the use and abuse cycle and end up turning into criminals that keep coming back into our jails, because there's a continual recidivism rate with these people. So, thank you.
Biggest problem I see with the county right now is exactly what Mr. Hardy said, exactly what Veronica said. It's drugs, people. We got a drug problem. We got a drug problem right here in the city of Guthrie. I work every day in the city of Guthrie and I see it. I see it in Logan County. Our SWAT team that's part of the county, part of the city, they go out and they get these drug manufacturers. What I want to do is I want to make it to where the people that are manufacturing, growing, I want to stop that. I want to get rid of them, and I want them to tell their friends, Logan County's not a place that we should do this, because if we do, we're going to get caught, and then I want the DA to prosecute to the full extent so that we don't have them getting back out the following week and at it again. That's our problem, really. So what I can do is try to get with the district attorney and make him be a little harder on these drug dealers. Thank you.
I hate to tell you this, folks, but Logan County's not unique. There's drug problems all over the state. You have to work with the Bureau of Narcotics, have your own narcotics people if you can afford it. Burglaries, robberies. There's more people moving in here every day, big homes going in, truck stop going in out there, 2 of them now. You're gonna have more stop and robs out there. It's a matter of enforcement and it's a matter of people on the street. You need to put as many deputies as you can out there and work all these problems. You can't just work one problem because they all interact. They all interact with each other. The drugs lead to crimes. The crime leads to drugs. Drugs and crime leads to robberies and home invasions and burglaries. So you have to work the entire crime scene or the entire criminal spectrum to get rid of these individual problems. If you just got somebody come in and work drugs for you, you're going to take part of the problem out. If you don't know who smokes dope, look across the street at the neighbor. I can tell you that there's some people you probably wouldn't believe.
I agree that I think that narcotics are our biggest issue. They're the root of a lot of the crimes that go on. And we would need to hit it aggressively. I think a lot of the times deputies going through their cleat training and stuff like that, they don't get specialized training. Some do, some don't. So it's important to educate these guys, get them trained on what to look for, how to write a search warrant. You know, if you got 1 or 2 detectives, you're going to keep those guys hooked up pretty well doing search warrants. So I think it's imperative that our deputies are able to be able to write a search warrant, get it signed, get the help they need to serve that search warrant, and not just in county. I think it goes to Coyle, to Crescent, to everybody. I think it's going to be a group effort between all the agencies to try to eradicate this problem.
I think you're right. Let's see. What will be, and for Sheriff Balman it'll be of course, but what will be your policy for deputies that live outside of the county having take-home units to take their units home?
I can see someone driving a vehicle 5 miles from the county line, but no more than 5 miles. I'm not sure where all these vehicles are going today, if they're going outside the county. These guys don't make a lot of money, but anything over 5 miles is absolutely going to be a no. Cannot happen.
Well, I've always worked under the premise that either you live there or you don't have a take-home. I'll continue that. Look, we can't afford the miles on these vehicles because we got to keep them a while. Gas is soon going to go back up, so we're not going to be able to afford that. So if you're going to work for me, you're going to live in the county. That's a simple program.
I would like to say that I'd like to have a 5-mile policy, but sometimes situations warrant where you might have to bring on someone that has a specialty that is a little bit farther out. It'd have to be a case-by-case basis, but I would like to have the majority of the deputies that worked for me within the county and not having to go outside the borders of the county. So that way we have resident deputies that are able to serve the county and they live here and work here and they're known here. And I think that raises the level of accountability a little too.
Much better, Dan.
We should have done this a long time ago. I'm the same, 5 miles outside the county. You want those vehicles in the county. You want people to be able to see them. It's like any department. Seeing a vehicle sitting at somebody's house makes the people in the neighborhood feel secure. But if it's in Oklahoma County or it's in Kingfisher County, how secure do they feel that a Logan County deputy lives down the street? Those vehicles need to stay in the county.
Okay, I don't know where the 5-mile thing came from. If Logan County county seat is in Guthrie and you live in Marshall, I don't know exactly how far that is, but 30 miles or so, If you go south, it's like 16 miles to Edmond. So 5 miles out of the county that way would be 40 miles, and 5 miles out of the county that way would be 20 miles. So the way the Oklahoma County District Attorney does it is you have to live within 50 miles of the District Attorney's office. So what I'm going to do is look at the borders of the county, and we'll have a policy of how far you can go from Guthrie. If that's 10 miles south, then it's 10 miles south. Personally, I think that any drive-home vehicles should get parked someplace in the county, and you can drive home from there. I know the sheriff's got a couple substations out there. There's probably places you can park those cars, and they got to drive home from there. So.
You know, we struggled with this at the city of Guthrie when I was there. There's several deputy positions that requires them to have a take-home vehicle for response. Of course, we're talking about response to calls and stuff like that. I mean, I like the idea of the 5 mile deal, the 5 mile range outside of the county. Of course, perfect world, everybody have a take-home car and everybody living in Logan County. We don't live in a perfect world, but I think the take-home vehicle is beneficial to the residents because it allows those deputies to respond with their equipment in an expedited manner instead of coming to the sheriff's department or driving to a different location to get their vehicle. And I don't really like the idea of a vehicle sitting somewhere that's unoccupied at somewhere that's not close to a deputy to watch it. So that's kind of my take on that. I think the take-home vehicles are an excellent idea, that deputies take better care of their vehicles. You know, we've seen that at the police department, and I think it's a viable program that benefits the citizens.
Excuse me. I agree with Dan, I agree with Veronica, and I agree with Damon here. We have Oklahoma County deputies that live in our area. We have Oklahoma City Police Department area cops that live in our area. We have Edmond cops that live in our area, and we do have a rule, it's 5 miles outside of my county limits, and we have one guy that lives further than that. He parks his car at his mother's house, he drives his personal vehicle to his mother's house, and then comes here. So I would love to have everybody in the county, but the pay that we offer our people is not the greatest pay, so I don't get that many applicants that live in Logan County. We take the best applicant that we can find, and we want to keep them as close to the county as we can. And that's what I have done, and that's what we will continue to do. Thank you.
Sheriff Balman, this question is for Sheriff Balman. Do not come back in this direction, Robert. This question is for you, Sheriff. You know, when you're the incumbent, you get more questions than
Obviously.
those that aren't the incumbents. Why is the current budget not public?
Say that again?
Why is the current budget not public?
My budget is public. Anyone can go into Mrs. Cole, who is here, Troy Cole, and ask her for my budget, and she will show it to you. If not, come to my office and I'll show it to you.
Thank you. Now back down, Robert, it's your turn to be first. Okay. Can anyone up there, this doesn't really say it's addressed just to the sheriff, so can anyone tell us about black asphalt and is Logan County involved? Does that question mean anything to anyone? Does it mean
I can
something?
answer it.
Does it mean anything to anyone else? No?
Yeah.
Yes, you want to answer too? Okay, go ahead.
Black Asphalt was a company that trained everybody, law enforcement, in drug interdictions. We belonged to Black Asphalt for approximately 2 years, and in June of 2015, or actually in February of 2015, I got with them and told them that my ideals and stuff did not match up with theirs, and I got out of it. And that happened June 13th of 2019. Or 2015, I'm sorry. I'm trying to look ahead.
Thank you.
Where are we going?
I don't know.
All right. You
Let's
ready?
try this again.
Okay. Most politicians voice support for the Second Amendment. Not all are sincere. When was the last time you fired a firearm?
Yesterday.
Thank you.
I agree with the Second Amendment.
That's the question. When was the last time you fired a firearm? That's all it says.
Well, that's yesterday.
Okay.
About 2 months ago.
You fired a firearm 2 months ago? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't had anybody to shoot.
She called me, I shot him.
Well, I think they're talking about training. You know, have you shot a firearm for training in the last 2 months?
Not for training, for pleasure. We don't have the ability to do a lot of shooting for training because of our small budget. And so we are pretty much limited to once a year. But the officers are all encouraged to go out in their own time with their own ammunition and go. We have a range that is at our, that we're able to use at any time. So they go out and they use it quite frequently.
All the way?
All the way down? Okay.
2 or 3 months ago, we did our annual shoot for the police department. That was the last time I shot.
I have my own little range down in my backyard. I buy bulk ammunition. I probably shoot training myself at least 2 times a week. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to get out there when it's raining and hailing and tornadoes. But I did shoot yesterday.
I'd say it's probably going to be, let me stand up. I'd say it's probably going to be 2 months ago at Wilshire Gun.
I shoot on a weekly basis, and I've trained my daughter, my wife, and my son to shoot, so we go to the range and shoot as a family too.
Probably about 6 months ago, last time I shot. I want to say it's right probably before Christmas, sometime that time frame.
Thank you.
Josh was a good shot.
Yeah. Is that the end of that? Did everybody answer that question?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Veronica, I think you're next up. Ready?
Ready?
How would you make changes such as real training for deputies to take animal cruelty seriously in this county? They refuse to show up for calls, refuse to take it seriously, then refuse to prosecute, which is a felony in this state.
That's a big question. Well, one, I'm a huge animal advocate and supporter. I work with Von Coburn and Fogas, and we donate to them and we participate with them. I worked with her on several occasions with rescuing animals. So animal calls are not pleasant. They're not a pleasant call. County deputies get horses that look thin. You go out and investigate it, and you get called, and you get called, and you called, and it turns out the horse is 35 years old, and it's a miracle that it's even standing. But it looks horrible, and people don't understand that. So you have to find a way to get that message out to the people that call you about those animals. A lot of animal cruelty is not exactly what it seems. So you just have to be careful, and you have to be prudent in how you handle it. And definitely not shooting them unless you are being attacked and that sort of thing.
Well, I can say I'm a city officer and we have animal control, so when we have a problem like that, we call animal control, they come out, we assist them with whatever they need. I understand that the county doesn't have that. Any call for service is a call for service. The deputies should be going and should be out in the community and taking every call as a serious call. Right down to the lady that wants you to put on the aluminum foil hat. you should be taking every call as it is a serious call. If not, you're going to have complaints and you're not going to be reelected to the office of sheriff. So.
Wow. Okay, when I was deputy in rural Cleveland County, I conducted 3 investigations on animal cruelty. One in particular, the owner of the place was in California, and he had a whole bunch of horses in the pasture and they were starving. So I went with the veterinarian and did an autopsy on one of the horses. We got the evidence and we prosecuted and got that person back to Cleveland County and put him in prison for 15 years. So if you process the crime scene and you do the police work and you turn it over to the district attorney, they're going to prosecute the crime. Now, I can't answer the question for the district attorney about what they do and don't prosecute, but I can promise you that the deputies are going to do the work, process the crime scene, and turn the paperwork in appropriately to the district attorney's office.
You know, the days of having animal control are really nice.
Yes.
The thing that I would do as the sheriff is I think that if we get dispatched to a call of animal cruelty, of course you document what you see. If you believe there to be any animal cruelty or the possibility of it, or there is, I would suggest we get a hold of one of the vets in town, have them go out and look at them, you know, do some sort of a physical to determine whether or not it is actual animal cruelty. I mean, it is an issue in the county. I've had a lot of people, you know, come to me and speak about that. That's a concern that they have. It's a real concern. I mean, the animals are voiceless. You know, they don't get observed until somebody finds them half dead. So I think that it's educating the deputies on what animal cruelty is, what it takes to prosecute that case, and have the professionals available to go out and make a determination, and then present a case to the district attorney's office.
With that question, we have got with the veterinarians in this county, and they came up with a score sheet on animals, whether it be a cow or a horse or whatever. And if we get a call on a cruelty to animal, that's animal control has nothing to do with that. It's a felony to treat an animal like that. And we have also worked with Von Coburn very closely. My detectives got with the veterinarians, made a score sheet. It's a standard part of our investigation. And when an officer gets a call and he goes to a scene and he sees a horse, whether it be 45 years old or 10 years old, and it's got sway back or its bones are showing, there's a level of scoring. And we call the vet, and they come out and they score it, and then we deal with it from that point, whether we have to file charges or what we have to do. And it's been very successful with us.
First thing that I think needs to happen is the deputies need to be trained. There's 2 statutes that deals with, one deals with animals running loose and one deals with animal cruelty. Train these deputies in these statutes. All you can do is work up a case, whether it be a detective, a deputy, the undersheriff, the sheriff, whoever. Get that case worked up. Present that case to the district attorney's office. They're going to either file it or they're going to decline to file it. That's all they can do. But the deputies need to be very familiar with both the statutes, and they're both an Oklahoma state statute. There's one against animal cruelty, and there's one against animals running at large. Believe it or not, you can't let your animals just run loose because you want to. They have to be pinned up or encaged, or however the state statute word says, at all times. So that's the first thing that needs to happen.
Thank you, Ben. He'll be here all week.
That's the first time he's got the yellow sign.
One of the main reasons that I am running is we have to speak and be a voice for those who cannot speak. And these are dumb animals. We have a bunch of this in our county, even though a lot of you don't see it. The way I met a person the other day who was here tonight, was called out to look at a horse who was lying on the ground, been down for, I believe, 3 days. Sheriff's Office was called, there was no response. Folks, you guys in blue, I'm not beating up on Jim Balman. Please don't think I am. What I'm saying is there should have been a response. There was not. Okay? So we do have to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. Whether it's me, Veronica, Ben, Jim, anybody. We've got to do so, and we're going to have to start soon.
All right, thank you, candidates. You started, right, Veronica, with that animal question? Okay. We've made the loop of everybody answering a question first, so we've extended your time 10 minutes just like we did for the commissioner. So I'm going to give you one more question, and then we're going to start the question and answer between each of you. So, Mike, let's go ahead and let's do this last question. Okay?
I guess this one's probably going to be a doozy right here. See, that's the last one.
What is the biggest need of the Sheriff's Department now, and what would you do to fill that need? Obviously, if you're not inside there, but this is just hypothetical.
I will tell you what I see as a big need in the Sheriff's Department is the Sheriff's Department is housing federal inmates. But they have detention deputies that are young kids just out of high school that aren't trained. And they're dealing with these federal inmates that are DOC, they've been in DOC, they know how the system works, and it's a safety issue, I believe. This is just my observation. It's a safety issue. Those guys, before they go in the jail, should get about a 6-week mini academy taught by DOC or maybe Oklahoma County so that they know what to look for in the jail, how to deal with these prisoners, because I take prisoners in there that are just Logan County prisoners that aren't DOC, and I watch the guys, and there's a safety issue. It's a time bomb ticking, and it's waiting to explode. That's my sentiment.
Well, I'm not trying to say anything against anybody up here. All I can do is answer what I would do and what I'm going to do. All those problems that they were talking about can be dealt with. What I can tell you is that you'll see me in the public. You'll see me at sporting events for the schools. You'll see me at entertainment events, the Lazy E, Guthrie football, Cashin football, basketball games, picnics out in the picnic area out here. You'll see me out in the county looking at all the people and having them meet me so they know who I am, giving them an opportunity to talk to me. And communication and understanding between the sheriff and the citizens of the county is really critical to how the sheriff's office works.
Repeat the question for me, please. I was listening.
That's okay. What is the biggest need of the Sheriff's Department now, and what would you do to fill that need?
Do you know if that's internally or externally?
It's whatever you want it to be.
You know, the biggest thing that I hear in my travels is response time and not seeing the deputies in the neighborhoods. That's a big issue. I mean, internally, I think morale is a huge issue. You know, I would hope that my guys would attest that when I was the police chief that they enjoyed working for me because I cared for them. I don't want any deputy to be afraid to apply somewhere at a bigger department, you know, in order to better themselves or have better opportunities for fear that they'd be terminated as soon as they found out. I mean, I would write letters of recommendations for them if they were a good deputy trying to better their families. You know, the responding to calls, being in neighborhoods, knowing the people, being out in the public, meeting these people, especially as a sheriff, people should know your name and who you are. And just trying to make sure that the guys are taken care of and know that they have the support from the sheriff's office.
I think that one of our greatest needs is more manpower, having more deputies on the street. On any given day, I got 4 deputies, and if we can get the reserves to come out, we have approximately 10 or 12 reserves. We get them to come out on the weekends, we have enough, and we do districts in our area. And my wife would tell you that there's probably 20,000 people in this county have my phone number. So there's a lot of people that do know me, and I do get out. And my guys do respond to calls. We do picnics in the neighborhoods with people. They have invited us. Neighborhoods will call us and invite us to a picnic and shut down a street and have a picnic in their neighborhood. We've gone out on Halloween and brought our command bus in the neighborhood with the kids and socialize with the kids, fingerprint kids, and do that kind of thing so that if something ever happened to them, they would have a trace to follow them. I have a very good rapport, I believe, with my neighbors and the people who work for me.
Let me repeat the question again. What is the biggest need of the Sheriff's Department now, and what would you do to fill that need?
I would say one of the biggest needs is training. Training in state statute, being accessible. I don't know where he goes during the day, but I can tell you that I get a lot of phone calls about who is he? I've never met him. This guy in the public. I go to the school events. I go to the FFA stuff. I buy more stuff from kids selling stuff that I ever need. But the deputies need to be trained. A little more training. I agree with Mike and the detention officers. Do not put those kids back here in themselves with them people, because they have been in the system. They know the system. You're putting an 18-year-old kid back here to get himself hurt or worse. First thing we need to do is get some training started in here. Make sure everyone is trained, not just some that want to go, but make it mandatory.
Biggest need in the county right now for the sheriff's office is money. Used to have an old shop teacher that used to say that. First thing you did when you walked into class is he'd say, money. That's what we need to run this shop class. Well, that's what we need to run this sheriff's office. A lot of things Sheriff Balman can't help. He doesn't have the money. That's a fact. My plan is to bring the money in. I know how to do it. I'm bringing the people in to do it. I'm bringing in one of the best grant writers the state has got. He's personally worked in the Pentagon. He's coming in to write our grants for us. He's going to make our sheriff's office work. So we'll have more deputies, we'll have more investigators. I'm bringing in 2 of the best investigators in the state of Oklahoma. They're going to do our investigating for us. They're going to lead the team to make us what we need to be, which is the best. So things are going to change when you elect me sheriff.
Well, I would also agree that money is probably one of the biggest problems they have in the sheriff's office, because if you had money, then you could pay your deputies a good wage. You could make sure that they are able to support their families and not have to get 2, 3 outside jobs to support themselves. But the problem is you have to find ways to get that. You have to write grants, and grant writing is an exhaustive process to do. But you have to find the right people to get those grants for you. Getting task force set up where you have people working for you and with you also help bring in money, and eventually they will pay for themselves. But overall, I think the biggest problem is money and how to generate those funds and how to help the county to be able to support a sheriff's office.
That was everybody, right? Okay. Okay. Let's send that back down to Veronica for. Let's let the woman go first, and let's start with Veronica. To pick a candidate that you want to ask one question to, and the candidate has 30 seconds to respond. 30 seconds.
Okay, I guess my question will be for J-Dub. In all of your time at Cleveland County, describe the different jobs that you carried there.
Well, I was a SWAT team commander, Patrol Division South. Oh, that's right, you can keep it in there.
JW, you have 60 seconds, not 30, to respond.
Okay. Patrol Division, I worked my own cases, I did my own investigations. I was a SWAT team commander. I was an instructor, firearms instructor. I'm a certified CLEAT advanced instructor, and so I did classes in the south part of the county was my territory, and I met with the people in PR and took care of the bullies and pretty much did my own thing down there.
Robert? You can ask one candidate, one question.
Jim, how tall are you?
5'9".
There you go.
Now, Ben, you look very confused, and you can just ask. Is he really?
We all thought it was funny that he's lying.
I really wasn't prepared to ask a question, but since it's my turn, I'll,
Well, you got the rules.
I know I did that, and I just told y'all, I just remembered that, and so when you said that, so thank you.
Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, Mike, what is your biggest obstacle you found during this campaign?
The biggest obstacle I found is I'm not a politician. I really am not. I like getting out and talking to people, but I'm not a politician. My dad told me at a young age, you don't ask for money and you don't brag about yourself. As a politician, that's what you got to do. So big drawback is me going out and asking for money and telling people what a good job I'll do. I promise you, I love talking to people, but I don't like bragging about myself.
All right, Sheriff, you get to pick one person to ask one question to.
Damon. You just planted this on me, so I'm going to plant it on you.
Okay.
Tell me 3 things you're going to do when you take office and how you're going to do them.
You know, I said I was going to ask you an easy one.
Okay, give me one thing.
One thing I'm going to do when I get in office. I never thought about that. Yeah, that's several steps ahead. You know, I think the one thing I'm going to do that's close to me is have a meeting with each individual deputy, find things that they think that we need to do better, things that aren't working. But my goal is, if elected to sheriff, is to get the buy-in from the deputies and know that no decisions are made without their support and information to gather to change, or to make the change or not make the change. Sorry, I hate talking. Sorry.
Thank you.
All right, it's my turn.
That's right.
Sheriff. Oh, it's good to have fun with these guys. You know, they're friends. You know, this is a tough deal for all of us. If you were to look back at your career as the Logan County Sheriff, what is the one thing that you would do different if you could go back and change it?
Buy an extra phone. No, in all seriousness, I don't know that there's anything that I would do different. I think I've done a great job doing what I've done. To this date, I think I have good people working for me in all positions. They're all very capable of doing their jobs. And the training going into the jail, I have a jail administrator. We do call DOC. DOC comes down, they do training for us and that kind of thing. But back to really answering the question, I'd probably get another phone so that when people call me, it's separate from my regular phone and bothering my family and stuff like that. Thank you.
JW?
I don't have any questions for any of these people. You guys can take advantage of listening to them here, and you ask your own questions. I'm standing on my record and what I've done, and I don't need to ask anybody anything.
Mike?
You know, it's hard for me to ask any of these guys questions because most of them I know, and I know what their answer would be. You know, this is nothing personal, and a lot of these guys up here are my friends. So educate yourself, decide who you think is going to be the good and the best candidate for the county, and vote for that person.
Thank you all. That concludes that segment. And now when you came in the door, you drew your numbers for your closing statement, your opening statement and your closing. So we're going to go into that segment now. You get 2 minutes apiece. And Sheriff, you drew the #1 slot for
There you
the
go.
closing,
That's great.
for your closing statement.
I don't remember drawing, but that's good. Again, back to my beginning. We paid the jail off a year early. We worked really hard at that. We've doubled the staff. We doubled the patrol cars. We got very accountable by the GPSs in the car, the cameras on their chest, and in their cars. Now, when I first got them, they did not like them. And you can ask any one of these guys that's been in an authority role, that the guys didn't like the cameras. But when it came time for people making complaints, and I research and investigate everything. If someone calls and complains on one of my guys and says that they did this, this, and this, they have to download their cameras every day. I can go to a computer, we can open up the camera, and we can see truly what happened. And after clearing them 2 or 3 times, now they love the cameras. They love the GPSs. They hated the GPSs too. The GPS give me twofold. I can tell if they're speeding and they're going too fast because it reaches a certain mile per hour, it notifies my undersheriff. If it goes over a little bit higher, it notifies me. And we're going to find out why they're doing that. Because speed to a call does not get you there. We want to get you there because in Logan County, a deer could run out in front of you, a dog could run out in front of you and total your car out. And then that's hurt you and the county, and we're not for that. Now, we have made a lot of drug arrests, drugs in that burglary that we were talking about. That guy was hooked on methamphetamine. We've since got him off methamphetamine. He's in my jail, he's going to be there for quite a while. And he has got off methamphetamine and trying to be a productive citizen. And working on helping us get the property back. So, one note to y'all, please put your serial numbers or something identifiable on your equipment so that we can get it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Damon, you're #2.
I'll go last.
There has to be one in every crowd.
In this crowd, there's 4 or 5.
Well, I'd like to say it's been an honor to come here tonight and answer these questions in front of the people of Logan County and the deputies that work for the sheriff and everything. And if I'm elected to sheriff, it's my goal to carry on what's been done to this point and beyond. I mean, I can tell you the guys that I worked with at Guthrie were my family, and if elected, you guys will be my family. And I think that it's important for us to have those relationships to where you know my name, I know yours. You know, to get familiar with your staff, let them know that you appreciate the work they do, but because I know you don't get paid enough. Training, you know, training is always an issue. Training, you know, the training at Guthrie was a huge issue. And I can tell you guys right now, law enforcement in America is under attack. You know, worse than I've ever seen it in my career. We got to watch our sixes, guys. We got to take care of each other. You know, there's evil out there to hurt us, and I think that it's still an honorable profession. It's still an honorable profession, regardless of what the people say. The job that we do every day to go out here and put our lives on the line for people that we don't know, that's honorable, guys. And I commend all you guys for doing that, and those at this table here that have done it as well. If I am your next sheriff, I will continue to support you, to defend you, to work with you and get the tools that you need to do your job successfully and make the citizens our priority again.
Robert, you're #3.
This comes to the hard part, saying goodbye to all your loved ones tonight. You guys have been great. Thanks for having us, coming out and supporting us. Those of you that are in blue, vote for Hardy. Jobs for everyone. We don't need no stinking badges. But really, folks, it's been great getting to know these guys. That folks, we're not enemies. Okay, don't misunderstand tonight. If you think that that's the way we came across, We're all cops up here. Most of you out there are cops. And first of all, I'd like to say Jim Balman's not my enemy. He is my opponent. Okay? So you guys don't hate me in blue. Please, don't hate me. But, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to close with this, guys. Somebody has stole 2 of my signs out of the road, off the side of the road. Folks, these things are cemented in the ground. They were pulled up. Yes, you're not going to like this, Jim. One of them was one of your deputies. So look at your cameras for me, please.
Show it to me. We'll do it.
So that's what I got to say. Thanks, guys, if you're to vote.
Thank you, sir. Number 4 is John, JW, please.
Okay, 2 minutes. I got about 15 minutes worth of stuff to say, so I'm going to try to put it all together here. First of all, we skipped that Second Amendment question. I liked the first part of the question, and we didn't answer that. So let me tell you that I'm not just a distinguished life member of the National Rifle Association. I'm also a Golden Eagle member of the National Rifle Association. What that means is I give money even though I don't have to. This is probably the most important presidential election in my generation. If you're not voting for sheriff, go vote for president. We need a big voter turnout, okay? We don't need the Democrats who are in that the race over there, either one of them, to be our president. So let me just stress that. There's so much to tell you that I've been in law enforcement all my life, except I went to the oil field for a little while. There was too much drugs out there. I almost got killed a couple of times. So I went back into law enforcement where it's a lot safer. My goal has been for most of my life to be the Logan County Sheriff. I'm not up here because somebody's doing something bad. I'm up here because I want to do something good. I've educated myself. I'm an instructor. I'm a life member of the, I'm a 16-year member of the American Legion, life member of the Military Police Regimental Association, member of the Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. So I say that to tell you that I'm involved not just in the community here, but in the law enforcement community. I want to continue that. I want to be your sheriff. I want to be able to do a good job. I want this to be my legacy. So if you get a chance and you think about it, give me a thought when you get to the polls. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Veronica, you're number 5.
I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity that we're able to come into this forum and talk to you in a civilized manner. And once again, these are all my opponents. They are not enemies of mine whatsoever. I mean, we all know each other and we've worked together. One of the things I want to say is just a little bit about me. I've been a small town police chief for 3 years. If any of you have lived in a very small town, that's an accomplishment. You have to be a gifted negotiator, speaker, all-around good person for them to keep you, because they usually turn them over about every year. And so you have to work hard and you have to be passionate about what you do. If I take on Logan County, I will take and share that same passion that I've shared out in Cashin for the last 5 years and bring it to Logan County. When I worked for Logan County before, I worked just about every job in that sheriff's office. And I loved working for the county. I love being a part of this county. I love being here. We chose to move here, and it was not anything that we regret. And we choose to stay here, even though all our children are all across the country now in the military and working for DA's offices in LA and things like that. We choose to stay here when we could go anywhere. And so I just want you to know that I will bring all the passion, all my training, all my experience, and everything that I have into Logan County to make this the best sheriff's office ever. We will be fiscally sound. Every year I come in under budget because I don't like spending other people's money. I believe in being a good steward of what the people have entrusted in you. So I just want everybody to know that I will be caring and compassionate and frugal and work very hard for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Well, I'm upset that this is almost over. Like I said, most everybody here on the panel I've known for many years, and I have nothing against any of them. You know, I sat down and I prayed, and God told me this is what He wanted me to do. I haven't lifelong been wanting to be the sheriff, but if God wants me to do it, that's what I'm going to do. I want to be in His will, and I want Him to bless me. And by blessing me, if I become your next sheriff, I hope to turn and bless each and every person in the community. All you people wearing blue, I know a lot of you have known you for many years, and I think it's great that you stand behind your sheriff. That shows me that that you care about the job that he's done for you. Again, I love this community. I love the people of the community. I thank you that you came out. I hope that this has educated you a little bit. And if you don't vote for me, there's a lot of people up here on this panel that would make a great sheriff. And I'm not saying that Jim wouldn't make a great sheriff again, okay? But I'm saying educate yourself. Vote for who you believe is going to do this county good for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Our last candidate to give closing remarks is Ben.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do think if you come out tonight, I do look around and see a lot of familiar faces. I've known, I met Mr. Marshall today, and I met Mr. Hardy 3 weeks ago. The rest of them I've known pretty much my whole entire career. Deputy Sergeant Terry, I met him when I was a young trooper. He was getting me in trouble in Oklahoma County. I've met Under Sheriff years ago. I've known the family. On June the 28th, you have a decision to make. That's to cast a ballot. Like Mike said, I don't expect to get 100% of the votes. I fully understand that. But what I'm asking you to do is get out and vote. Let your voice be heard. Let your voice count. And my grandma told me one time, I was around 19, 20 years old, this has been like 3 or 4 years ago. She said, if you don't vote, son, don't gripe. And I said, what? And she looked at me and she goes, if you don't vote in the election, don't you gripe? Yes, ma'am. All I'm asking you is, you have your mind made up, I'm pretty sure. You have someone you want to vote for. On June 28th, go out and do it. Thank you for being here, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. On behalf of First Capital Republican Women, we thank you so much for caring and coming. For all these candidates are outstanding men. Some of them are a little silly, but they're all outstanding men and women. And to jump on Ben's bandwagon as we close out for this evening, we, as Republicans, I want to read a quote to you from President Ronald Reagan, and it really matters about your vote. For this nation to remain true to its principles, we cannot allow any American's vote to be denied, diluted, or defiled. The right to vote is the crown jewel of American liberties, and we will not see its luster diminished. Thank you so much for coming.